Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia is an interesting game. As a remaster/remake of the second game in a series over 2 decades old, it must have been a weird entry to make. In order to keep things familiar for old-time fans, I imagine, the game made some interesting decisions, like having a very limited set of classes as well as very unique map designs that occasionally make encounters feel a little samey and dull. On the other hand, it still had plenty of good, like a very interesting forging system, and it was also the game that introduced combat arts and the rewind mechanic, both of which would reappear in some future titles. Personally, I really like Echoes. However, the main thing that stood out to me was not a new mechanic, but rather the remake of an old one, the dungeons. Completely exclusive to Echoes and Gaiden, for now at least, dungeons were these places in the game where you were forced to explore. In Echoes, this is done in full 3D, and it kind of feels like an action game, transitioning to the classic SRPG battles whenever you encounter an enemy. And honestly, it was super cool, which I recognize sounds a little silly to say, because outside of Fire Emblem, nothing about this was really unique or anything, like, what, you've never played an action or adventure game before? But genuinely, it was so refreshing to be able to freely explore these environments in a series that sometimes kind of feels like the world is just a bunch of random, disconnected pieces of land, and it really helped make the world feel a little more fleshed out, at least in a gameplay sense. And while I really liked all of the dungeons, there is one in particular, the one that honestly is the main reason I remember this game so fondly, that I want to talk about today. Echoes' post-game dungeon, the Thabes Labyrinth. So after killing Duma and finishing the main game, you'll be given a message telling you to head to Zofia Arbor to meet with this foreign trader NPC who will ask you to take him back to Arcanea. So you set sail across the ocean, fighting pirates, mages, and dagons. No, I did not forget the R in my script, though intelligent systems certainly forgot it in theirs. I can only imagine someone accidentally misspelled dragon, and someone saw it and was like, "It's genius!" and they just stuck with it. Anyway, you fight bootleg dragons in this stormy sea map that has these big water tornadoes kind of thing in the background, and they're not relevant to anything at all, but they're really cool, so I'm mentioning them here, you can't stop me. After all of that, you reach Fioria Port, a coastal village filled with brigands and mercenaries, and this is where the Thabes magic begins. Talking with the locals will reveal bits and pieces of Thabes history, including how it used to be a massive capital now ruined by the ravages of time, and how many people go down there to plunder treasure to make ends meet, although many never come back. The notice board even straight up tells you that 13 people died down there just yesterday. Boy, I am just itching to get started. Now you can begin your final preparations, and once you're done with them, you can finally head on into the labyrinth.
This grand husk of a capital once coursed with magic, but it has been forgotten for centuries, neglected, the victim of human folly. Now we disturb its rest. For what? What lies waiting for us deeper in?
Upon entering, you'll most likely notice the stone tablet first thing. Looking at it, it reads, "This is the Thabes Labyrinth. Let none set foot within its cursed halls." Thank you for the ominous warning, Stone Tablet, but I'm afraid it is categorically impossible for me to make good decisions, so I'll be going in anyway. The next thing you'll notice is the dungeon's appearance. It's got this rather typical old video games desert ruins kind of look. Sand is all over the place, and sand-colored stones make up basically the entirety of the architecture. Broken walls have formed giant piles of rubble, completely blocking off certain areas, and destroyed pillars lie on the floor all throughout. These weird gargoyle-like statues line the entrance staircase, and the whole area is lit by these ancient stone braziers. Overall, there's nothing particularly fancy or unique about the looks of Thabes, but I still think it pulls it off pretty well. I've always loved this aesthetic. It always makes me feel like an archaeologist, exploring ancient, mysterious lands, which is pretty much exactly what this place is supposed to be, after all. The music also helps this. It's calm, but it feels mysterious and even a little ominous. Between the ruined state of the place, all the warnings of people going in but never returning, and all the unknown dangers you're sure to encounter down here, The music feels like a perfect complement to it all. As you explore the place, you'll naturally come across some enemies to fight. For now, it's mostly going to be just regular guys, bandits, mercenaries, and other Arcanaean warriors looking to strike it rich, most likely. There's nothing particularly noteworthy about them stats-wise, but they do have pretty powerful weapons, so you'll still need to be careful with them. A short ways in, you'll find another stone tablet that reads, quote, "In Thebes lived an ancient alchemist named Forneus, much praised for his genius. In time, he would be feared by all." Behind it is a giant hole in the ground, and because nothing bad could possibly come of this, you jump down it and into Thebes' second basement. Upon arriving, you're immediately greeted with another tablet. 2 matters consumed Forneus, and he spent his life in their pursuit. The second floor isn't anything too crazy, though you mostly fight mages and cantors, who are fairly more threatening than the enemies on the first floor thanks to their long range, and also because the res stat in this game is basically a complete afterthought. If you're not a dread fighter, what you start with is pretty much what you get, and most characters start with like 6, if they're lucky. You can also find a chest containing a silver sword and an optional dead-end path, so yes, there is an incentive to explore the place. Everyone comes down here for treasure after all, so it only makes sense you would find some. The other path leads to the hole that'll take you to the third floor, guarded by another tablet that reads, quote, "The first was how to wake the dead and control them as his army." Basement 3 is rather noteworthy, primarily for having 2 springs which increase the worst stats in the game, and secondarily for having no human enemies. Everything you'll fight here is a terror, the game's monster-type enemies. Do you know what this means? It means that there's a good chance that out of all currently living humans, you hold the record for the one who's gone the deepest in the labyrinth. Woo, let's go! Before the entrance to the 4th basement, another tablet. The second was the creation of a singular, perfect being. With that ominous warning behind you, down you go. Right at the start of the 4th basement, we senators sent forth messengers to Forneus. None returned. The 4th basement is pretty interesting. 2 more, much better springs, and even a chest containing the base game's only pair of boots. The enemies are also different. Significantly stronger terrors roam around, and you can even find specters of old warriors down here, which is pretty interesting considering most people now can seem to get much deeper than the 2nd basement. Before you bid farewell to this floor, another tablet imparts lore onto you. Next, the council dispatched soldiers. Still none returned. It's maybe a little worrying to read that you're currently walking in the lair of a guy who presumably killed everyone that was sent to see him. Maybe you should turn back? Nah, that treasure won't loot itself. Dropping into the 5th basement now. This has been going on for quite a while, but we must be getting near the end. Recognized for their bravery and strength, the Spectres in B5 have been promoted to their final tier classes by the Mille Altar somewhere, so you'll have to contend with Dread Fighters, Barons, Bow Knights, and Gold Knights, all of whom are a fair bit stronger than all the enemies on the previous floors. In another dead-end room, you can find another tablet. Thus, the Council chose to seal Forneus' workshop with him inside it. Continuing on, you'll eventually reach this big circular room with a platform surrounded by a giant pit of sand, the perfect arena for a final boss battle. And sure enough, here it is, a dragon. Yes, for real this time, with an R and everything. He's accompanied by a pretty impressive entourage as well. A golden bow knight, 2 dread fighters with deadly weapons, 2 barons, a saint, and a cantor. With all these strong enemies, you'll certainly have to be careful, especially with the Dread Fighters, as their high speed makes it easy to double your units, and with a Brave and Shadow Sword, it's not unthinkable they might be able to kill most of your units. The dragon itself is also quite the foe. It has very high defense and attack, and its breath has 1-3 range and ignores defense, so your tank won't do you much good here. Fortunately, it only has 4 move and won't attack until you go in its range, so as long as you stay out of it and kill everything else first, dealing with it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Defeat it and congrats, you've thoroughly cleaned out the place, cemented yourself as the strongest currently living being, and you've left the citizens of Furiaport to starve to death. Yeah, if you'll remember, they loot this place to make ends meet, and you've looted everything, so... Anyway, pick up your cool unique shield and head on out of... The seal they used was made to last until the city crumbled to sand. Yeah, I'd say that's about where we are now. Here lies the sealed workshop of the demon alchemist, Forneus. Ladies and gentlemen, the Thabes Labyrinth isn't over, and this is where things get really interesting. The sixth basement is completely different. The entire floor is filled with this blue hue. Is it just that dark down here? Or is it the residual magic born of Forneus' experiments that's still lingering around, even after all this time? The music has changed as well, but it remains as appropriate as before. I don't know why or how to explain it, but this track has always sounded paranormal and supernatural to me. Maybe it's because it always seems to play in dungeons with a lot of terrors in them, or maybe it's because the Thabes Labyrinth feels like a paranormal place to me, and I simply associate this track with Thabes. Either way, I think it fits brilliantly here. The floor immediately begins with a defense and HP spring to help patch up any unit's mediocre defenses. Trust me, you'll probably need it. Head on into the depths and get ready to encounter some absolutely terrifying foes. Wait. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident those aren't terrors. And they don't look like specters either. They're humans. Villagers at that. How the heck did ordinary villagers make it all the way down here? I mean, I guess the Rem village kids got to kill a god, so maybe I shouldn't be that surprised. Or maybe someone just came down here with a whole bunch of pitchforks. After all the terrors, specters, and even a friggin' dragon, you're back to fighting regular bandits and ordinary guys. Except, they're wearing these weird and creepy stone masks and exhaling purple smoke. All of their weapons are rusted, suggesting they've been undisturbed for a very long time. And their stats are pretty damn high. If they weren't literally being crippled by their useless weapons, they'd easily be among some of the strongest enemies you've fought by this point. As you progress, you'll also see different classes, and even some enemies with venom weapons, which aren't particularly powerful, but there's something a little unsettling about the idea of these creepy masked weirdos attacking you with poisoned weapons. It feels oddly appropriate. On this floor is a chest with a blessed bow in it, and because of its holy powers, it's actually effective against monsters, and if you ask me, it should also be effective against these masked guys because whatever the hell is going on down here probably deserves to be handled with a little divine intervention. At the end of the sixth basement is, of course, a tablet that reads, "The critical component in the death mask is a particular shelled insect." So all of those guys have insects on their faces? Or in their faces? This is beginning to get kinda creepy. The seventh basement introduces a couple of new classes into the mix, all using venom weapons as well, and it also features the return of terrors. This also includes a brand new, unique type of terrors, the Deimos, a much stronger version of liches with high attack and defense who can use both magic and physical weapons, so make sure you don't underestimate them. Here, you'll be able to find a chest with 5 gold in it and 2 tablets. The first one reads, "I have come to call these marvel of nature's thanatophages." The second, placed on a cadaver, thanatophages set down roots and assert control. So, remember how apparently one of Forneus' goals was making an army of the dead? Well, it seems he pulled it off with these thanatophages. And that also means the tablets we've been reading from the 6th basement onwards were almost certainly written by Forneus long ago. The 8th basement is where things start to get real serious. This is the point where the game will just start putting dragons in regular encounters now, and you won't be able to isolate them this time. Anyone who's left in their range is at serious risk of dying to the remaining enemies, so handle them with the utmost caution. At the end of the floor is another tablet. At last, blood from a divine dragon. Its power is terrifying. Beautiful. Mr. Forneus is messing around with some dangerous stuff, it sounds like. Down in the 9th basement, you're immediately greeted with more lore. The Senate has granted me all I need to craft life anew. I've succeeded. Yeah, I think we had that figured out. Still, this Forneus guy sounds like quite the mad scientist, or alchemist technically, but it's pretty impressive to consider his creations still remain down here. The enemies in the 9th basement are particularly powerful, especially the dragons, who have an insane 31 defense, making them incredibly hard to kill without powerful arts, or by using Almond Celica. But the other enemies are still problematic as well, like these Shadow Axe bandits, who have 21 speed and 51 attack. I ended up getting into a fight with 2 groups of these guys at the same time, and there were 4 of them and 2 dragons, and let me tell you, that might have been the hardest fight I've ever beaten in this game. I spent like 3 turn wheel uses on this. And I mean, yeah, I am really bad at Fire Emblem, but still, even in this run, I hadn't struggled this much in this game in a long while. Down here, you'll be able to find a chest with a rusted Draco shield and one with an ambrosia, as well as a speed and resistance spring hidden behind a breakable wall in a fight against some dragons. Basement 9 is also the place where you have a chance of obtaining the Soul, Luna, and Astro weapons by breaking pots and such. I don't have any footage of them because there's apparently only a 0.26% chance you find one, and I didn't feel like doing 400 runs just for this video, okay? At the end of the floor lies, you guessed it, another tablet. At first, it was a tiny thing, but on day 80, I gave it my blood. It grew. Not ominous at all. Anyway, time for the 10th basement. The music disappears completely, and you're left with nothing but the sound of your footsteps. Its voice echoes in my head. Dark thoughts. Violent thoughts. The final tablet abruptly cuts off. Whatever lies in wait ahead is far from normal. A divine dragon fed the blood of a legendary alchemist. You enter the final room and descend a long staircase. At the bottom, a door with a sigil that opens to reveal a massive, black, serpentine-like monster awaiting on a massive platform floating above the endless void. Walk up to it and begin combat. Immediately upon starting, a group of very powerful enemies are teleported in, and you are treated to a somber and ominous organ track. At the top, the creation, this colossal dragon with a 1-5 range defense bypassing breath, the Dragonskin skill to have all damage, and an impressive stat spread. As you make your approach, more powerful foes join the fray from all sides. Once you manage to reach the dragon, the true battle begins. And just like that, the Divine Dragon has been vanquished. But despite that, the game leaves you with an ominous message. The horror has passed, yet still a foul air lingers, filling this place with a sense of dread. Your rewards are a memory prism, a butt-ton of renown, an achievement, and a rusted demon ring that does something to your growth rates. All in all, I've always thought the Thabes Labyrinth is awesome. It's still part of the reason I love Echoes as much as I do, and if you asked me for my favorite post-game of all time, there's a good chance this would be my answer. What I consider the best and most unique mechanic of the game, the one I still desperately hope makes a comeback, is at its best here. I like the build-up, the atmosphere is great, especially in the second half, it's got plenty of enemy variety to keep things fresh and new on your toes, the new unique enemies and the use of rare ones give it plenty of novelty, there's plenty of interesting rewards, the lore and backstory is dark and compelling, and the difficulty of the encounters, combined with the dungeon's considerable length and lack of real checkpoints, make it a fun, tense, and appropriate challenge for the post-game. What more can I say? It's amazing, and I seriously hope we'll get to see something similar in Fortune's Weave, or any future Fire Emblem title. For now, it remains a standout gem that I think truly makes the most of this interesting title's best and most memorable aspect.